I am so excited for this matchup, Rise. This is a rematch of our winners finals earlier today. We've got SJ on the left. Let's take a deep dive into this squad because this, like he said, is the perfect recipe to win a regional championship. But let's see if he can get it done. Shadow for Alligator, Shadow, Kanto, Marowak, as well as Alolan Sandslash, Jumpluff, Azumarill, and Shadow Drapion. What do you think, Rise?
A relatively standard team in the current meta. He said it was inspired by Marto's LAIC winning team with a couple of adjustments, and sometimes that's what you gotta do. You take some notes from some of the top trainers, make some of your own personalized touches. It's been working well for SJ so far. We go over to Pocket's team, Malamar, Clodsire, Alolan Sandslash, the Araquanid, the most unique pick on this squad, Azumarill, and that Shadow Kanto Marowak.
I just want to point this out. So Galarian Moltres, Guzzlord, and Araquanid are three of the only Pokemon with 10+ top cuts, but very, very low usage. They are outsized performers. But let's see if OutOfPoket can perform in the grand finals because we are getting locked in and ready to go for game number 1.
Trainers thinking it over, and we have a lock-in. Once upon a time, 124 trainers entered Sacramento. Only 2 remain. SJ taking on OutOfPoket here in the grand finals. Feraligatr gonna kick things off against the Azumarill.
The water types hit the field, and just like OutOfPoket said, Azumarill might not be the obvious answer to a lot of these teams, but it still has flexibility, it still has play. He's already got the play rough ready to go, and SJ gonna fire off the Hydro Cannon first.
This is a matchup you've probably played if you're a Go Battle League enthusiast. 2 very common Pokemon. The Feraligatr gonna significantly outpace the Azumarill. However, this heavy-hitting play rough is threatening. It's gonna pull up a first Protect Shield from SJ.
This is really interesting because we know that Sandslash for OutOfPoket has been instrumental, but there's also a Sandslash on the opposing side as well. Neither trainer willing to switch out. Here comes another Hydro Cannon from that Shadow Feraligatr.
Hydro Cannon chunking away at this HP of the Azumarill, and Feraligatr so quick. Oh, Pocket actually throwing the play rough immediately, pulling the second Protect Shield from SJ early on in this game.
Well, if you look at the team here from OutOfPoket, outside of Araquanid, he does not really have a hard answer. He realizes that he has to send in the Shadow Kanto Marowak. I'm telling you, Rise, we've seen this a few times. Here it is again.
If Pocket allowed SJ to fully Shadow Claw down the Azumarill, he would be toast. So he figured he had to take a risk. He had to pivot out, and now he is met by the Jumpluff, not where this Marowak wants to be by any means, but at least you have the super effective Rock Slide to fight back in this matchup.
I'm just gonna be honest, Rise, when you pull out the grass type like this, I'm looking at that Sandslash in the back line for OutOfPoket. I'm thinking, yeah, shield advantage, Sandslash align against this thing. This could be a positive situation, but the shield, I saw the head tilt. What do you think of this?
He's gonna try and preserve this Marowak potentially because after he throws a Rock Slide, he's gonna be able to pivot out into his, wait, what is this? Throwing the resisted Bone Club. There's no shields remaining. I don't understand this.
This is heavily resisted grass and flying resist the ground typing. Now we're gonna see the Sandslash come in here. Gonna throw the energy ball OutOfPoket, looking around. What do you think?
The only thing I can muster up right now is he felt like he needs residual energy for later on.
Yes.
So he's trying to save that for later to try and get rid of that Feraligatr in the end game. Now we see the pivot, the Sandslash against the Azumarill. This is slightly favored towards the Sandslash normally, but it's already taken some chip damage, so the Azumarill might be in favor here.
Yeah, I think that Pocket wants to take that Shadow Kanto Marowak energy as far as he possibly can, but right now, he's facing down this Azumarill. Play rough is resisted, but it is same type attack bonus. That's the correct charge attack to throw in this matchup. You're gonna see the Drillrun get fired off here by the Alolan Sandslash, and this is, again, the benefit of the normal non-Shadow Alolan Sandslash. He can hang in here. He is at no risk of being bubbled down.
Drillrun connects and actually swaps into the Marowak here. This is gonna be close. It's gonna reach the Bone Club, has the double Bone Club, and this is potentially enough to knock out the Azumarill right now.
This might be a Bone Club Boomerang. Here comes the first one. It connects. Azumarill goes down. In comes the Jumpluff. One more Mud Slap into the Rock Slide. No, he holds the energy, but then he throws it. Great counting by Pocket. I don't know, Bryce. He might even sweep this team with this Marowak.
Terrific counting, but can the Marowak reach a Bone Club against the Feraligatr? The Feraligatr is already got a Hydro Cannon. It might have to throw it. OutOfPoket is going to not get to the Bone Club.
He doesn't have it. Is there potential for a peekaboo play? This Feraligatr almost has the double Hydro Cannons. It's got it loaded. It's got so much energy. OutOfPoket, out of time. He's got to send something in. It's a Sandslash.
OutOfPoket comes to the sand sledge. I think at this stage, it almost doesn't matter even with a Peekaboo because there is double Hydro Cannon loaded, and this second Hydro Cannon should be enough to knock out the Azumarill from this range.
Yeah.
A very dynamic game one, and SJ is just barely able to hang on by one turn because that Marowak couldn't get off that Bone Club.
One turn, one single charge attack could have KO'd that Feraligatr and flipped this entire game. The 2-shield investment early on in the Feraligatr, that was the key.
We were perplexed. We were perplexed by the Bone Club of the Jumpluff, but it almost was one of the Galaxy Brain plays of all time to reach the Bone Club in the end against the Feraligatr.
Yeah.
Unreal plays from OutOfPoket, and just a tad short, a half a second short to be exact.
A real head scratcher that could have been a brain buster, right, if it would have worked out. He came incredibly close to making that play work. One of our trainers is already locked in. This is the grand finals, best of 5. And the fact of the matter is that Pocket needs to win this first series to force the reset. If he loses 2 more games, it's over.
You see some of the accomplishments from these trainers. SJ has been on a tear over the recent memory of the last couple seasons. OutOfPoket, you see all the way back in 2022, the inaugural season of Pokemon Go added to the championship series, was world's top 4 in the seniors division, and he's continued that success, has only improved, has only gotten better since then with a recent world's top 8 in Honolulu.
I want to remind everybody that SJ is a Go Battle League legend, top leaderboarder, incredibly talented player who came over to the championship series, and he's putting his skills on full display. Rise, we are locked in. Game number 2.
And this is where Jumpluff wants to be against the Marowak here. OutOfPoket is going to pivot directly into his best check, the Clodsire, and immediately you have to give the advantage to SJ.
You absolutely do. I mean, in an even shield scenario, this Clodsire can put up a fight, but the Hydro Cannon is so devastating. So much super effective damage is at risk here, and OutOfPoket forced to use that first Protect Shield early, lost the lead, having a really tough time in the swap. So far, this is looking pretty bad.
Sludge Bomb is going to connect, and that is not going to be enough to really threaten the Feraligatr. It's going to be building up energy. It's going to throw the Hydro Cannon. This won't be quite enough to knock out the Clodsire from this range, but it will deal some serious super effective damage. OutOfPoket decides to let it go.
OutOfPoket has the Sludge Bomb loaded. He's going to go ahead and throw it here against that opposing Feraligatr. He at least wants to get a Protect Shield back, and if you're SJ, you would really love a Shadow Claw down here to get ready for that Marowak, and I don't think he's going to allow it. OutOfPoket goes right into Azumarill.
A quick pivot into the Azumarill, and SJ, we've seen him do this many a times over, building up energy with the Feraligatr and then swapping into something that can absorb the damage. In this case, it's his own Azumarill.
I think SJ maybe even trying to catch the Ice Beam there. OutOfPoket doesn't fall for it, but you're right. He has that Feraligatr locked and loaded for another charge attack whenever it comes back into the field. And now OutOfPoket in the Azumarill mirror match down a bubble in terms of energy, it looks like. He's going to go ahead and throw his play rough.
These two Azumarill fighting back and forth, playing rough with one another, and we see another one fired off here from SJ. But while this matchup is taking place, these trainers are obviously thinking about how they need to navigate the back line. SJ, with all that energy banked on the Feraligatr, it's going to be very difficult. Pocket swapping the Marowak in here and knows he can't really afford to Protect Shield because the Feraligatr has a Hydro Cannon loaded. Actually has 2 Hydro Cannons loaded.
Not only does the Feraligatr have energy, but there's also that Jumpluff, right? I mean, there is no place for this Kanto Marowak to go. It is really cornered and struggling in this matchup. I mean, this reminds me of the Toxapex plays earlier. It almost feels like a dead weight on this team.
Marowak does land the Rock Slide, but we're going to see a full Fairy Wind down for this Jumpluff. And Jumpluff still quite healthy, has energy to threaten the Clodsire. All you need, of course, is the Aerial Ace from this low of health.
I think that OutOfPoket wants some energy off of this Jumpluff. He's trying to calculate how much energy do I have on the Azumarill. Can I shield here, throw the Sludge Bomb to pull the final shield, and then swap into Azumarill and try to make a combo play?
If you're SJ, do you let this Sludge Bomb go knowing it doesn't quite knock out? And now we see the pivot into Azumarill and can simply go for the Energy Ball. If this doesn't knock out, it'll be very close to it. I think the super effective Energy Ball will lift SJ to a Game 2 victory. The Clodsire is still there, of course, so we're going to see a fast attack off. But this Aerial Ace will knock out, and SJ's about to take a 2-0 advantage.
What you said earlier, Rise, was absolutely prophetic. I mean, we talked about having a safe Pokemon into your opponent's team, and SJ just using that Pokemon to hammer you over and over and over. That Shadow Feraligatr had the stored energy. It didn't even need to come off the bench.
Feraligatr has proven to be one of the most dangerous, one of the most powerful, one of the most aggressive Pokemon in the meta. And in the hands of a trainer like SJ, he has maximized its capabilities. We have seen the Jump Pluff as well, being positioned where it needs to be. Marto used it so well at LAIC. SJ took a page out of his book, said, I'm gonna bring it myself. And you know what, Speedy? The Jump Pluff puts Pocket in a little bit of a conundrum, right? Does really well against the Marowak, does really well against the Araquanid, does pretty well against the Malamar. It limits his lines. He knows he can't be super soft to the Jump Bluff, so maybe that allows SJ to healthily predict what Pocket might bring.
I feel like there's nothing stopping SJ from bringing a Azumarill Feraligatr every single game. I feel like there is no hard wall, there's no check, there's no reason not to leave his, not to bring his 2 best Pokemon and instead leave them on the bench. At this point, I think that OutOfPoket needs to summon up his Araquanid, try to pin down that Feraligatr and neutralize it, and then do as best he can with what he has left, because I think that he still has some play in the series, but he's got to start responding right now. This is an elimination game.
SJ 1 game away, and with a 2-0 advantage, especially after a very convincing game number 2 win, Pocket is going to have to really lock in. He needs some momentum. At this point, it's win or go home. He's already come this far. He's not gonna look back now. He's gonna give it everything he has. We have a lock-in for game number 3. The Araquanid making the appearance where it needs to against the Feraligatr.
Araquanid pounces on this Shadow Feraligatr in the lead. SJ gonna stay in here for just a moment, gather some energy. Like you said, Rise likes to bank the Hydro Cannon before making any other decisions. That's exactly what he does.
And it's countered immediately by the Clodsire. Thanks to the quick swap, this will be favorable for OutOfPoket. The Sludge Bomb gonna pace quicker than the Ice Beam, while both Pokemon are dealing super effective damage to one another.
Yeah, 2 charge attacks for the KO. No matter which way you look at this, first Sludge Bomb connects, Azumarill down into the yellow, Ice Beam getting fired off in return.
The Ice Beam will connect here. It is super effective, but the bulky Clodsire can withstand. And now you expect to see OutOfPoket build up a little bit of energy before firing off the next Sludge Bomb. Not gonna mess around, just gonna go for it straight away. And SJ going to put up the first Protect Shield, wants to maybe get a more shields down type scenario in this matchup.
Well, he knows his Shadow Feraligatr is at its best when the shields are down. He's gonna look to fire with the Ice Beam here. OutOfPoket, I'd be shocked if he doesn't match the shielding scenario here. It looks like he's gonna let it through and give up that valuable switch advantage that he fought so hard for.
He's gonna let it go, and we were talking about this backstage, Speedy. It's so surprising, the ability for Malamar to Psy-Wave its way through. This is just an Ice Beam. He doesn't even necessarily need to expend a Protect Shield here, and he's gonna go for a potential full fast attack down. SJ's not gonna let that happen though. He's gonna combo with the Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, SJ wants that shield back. He says, I do not leave empty-handed, and that Hydro Cannon will take the shield back. Now, this gives an opportunity for OutOfPoket to overcharge a bit more and maybe go to the Araquanid, but he's gonna stay and throw the foul play and take that final shield.
Takes the final shield, and now you have to expect he'll swap into the Araquanid at some point here. Maybe we'll build some energy first, or maybe we'll throw a charge attack first. Let's see. Oh, and catches the Hydro Cannon.
Araquanid taking a little bath here. The Bubble Spider is going to eat up this water from the Shadow Feraligatr. No problem. Bug Bites are going to add up, but the switch timer also about 15 seconds remaining. I think that SJ might be able to get out of this matchup.
And this game is gonna be awkward because the Jump Bluff is still lurking there in the back. The Water Pulse is going to connect, just barely knocks out the Feraligatr. In comes the Jump Bluff. You really need some debuff potentially here to try and put this in your favor if you're OutOfPoket, but the problem is you're switch locked, and SJ is going to keep on over farming with this Jump Bluff because you're not threatened by the charge attacks of the Araquanid.
The one time you want Bug Buzz, and he doesn't have it with the double water moveset here. The double Aerial Aces are loaded as well, Rise. He has to let this Araquanid take the damage. Do we see a fast pivot though?
I think after some energy is expended, yes, you swap into the Malamar. He's gonna need 2 foul plays and hope that they are enough to knock out. You still have 1 Protect Shield to hide behind, but keep in mind, there is still an Azumarill back there as well as a catch opportunity.
Aerial Ace gets fired off here. That jump bluff is only 2 Fairy Winds away from another Aerial Ace, and that might mean the game for SJ. He's got one more that he needs to win, and this might be it.
And this is going to be a charge attack priority. This is not going to be quite enough to knock out the jump bluff. This is going to be a photo finish in the end. Foul play connects. Keep in mind, this jump bluff, I believe, is still debuffed from that bubble beam, so the aerial ace might not be quite enough, but it's certainly going to be close to knocking out.
It's going to be so close. Malamar can't withstand it. It gets knocked out. Here comes Araquanid to bug bite down. It's going to load a water pulse. This might be it.
It almost has the water pulse. Azumarill doesn't have any energy, and OutOfPoket by a thread is going to keep himself alive in these grand finals.
OutOfPoket stays alive in a closely contested matchup. The water types on the field. Araquanid cornered the Feraligatr in the lead, and it was his champion in the end. OutOfPoket is not done yet.
Not to take anything away from that win, but he led Araquanid into Feraligatr, the best possible lead perhaps, and that came down to maybe 2 HP and a dream on the Araquanid. Just incredible skills on display from these trainers. What an entertaining game number 3 to extend this series.
Another test for SJ as well. He was moving forward with such momentum, already had the 2 victories, but now he has a loss. I mean, a lot of trainers might buckle here. They might not be sure of themselves and their next move, but SJ needs to dial back in and find that winning formula that he had earlier on in the series.
This was an awkward endgame for SJ because he knew he couldn't pivot out into the Azumarill because you'd just be giving free farm for the Pokemon remaining for OutOfPoket. So he had to stay in while debuffed. He couldn't really clear the debuff. And OutOfPoket, you see there with just a sliver of health, the Araquanid able to deliver the water pulse. But here we go. Game number 4. Once again, SJ up 2-1. It's going to be Azumarill into Clodsire.
This matchup could go either way. We see the instant pivot into the Shadow Feraligatr met by the Araquanid. Now, for real, the Shadow Feraligatr is trapped.
This is looking like a solid start to this game for OutOfPoket, but don't be fooled. Feraligatr has been able to showcase some incredible skill, some incredible power, even in bad matchups. Going for the Bubble Beam immediately going to be reducing the damage inflicted by this Feraligatr.
I think SJ was either checking the team or checking the moveset. He says, there's no way this is Bug Buzz, right? I'm safe to no-show the Bubble Beam, right? And he was correct.
Yeah, Pocket talked about his strategy and was pretty forthcoming in how he planned to deal with some of SJ's Pokemon. Now Araquanid going to try and get rid of this Feraligatr. Here's the problem. I don't think this Bubble Beam is quite enough, and SJ has the Hydro Cannon loaded.
At this point, I think the Bubble Beam will connect. Like you said, Feraligatr hangs on, but the instant pivot, he banks a Hydro Cannon yet again, and now we see the Sand Mirror Match, but that early switch allows SJ to be up by 1 Powdered Snow.
OutOfPoket is now behind in this matchup, which is so devastating in the Sand Mirror. And SJ has a Hydro Cannon banked. Somehow, from a positive lead and counter swap, SJ has managed to put himself in now a favorable position.
This is a massive call. SJ knows that OutOfPoket is behind. He knows it might be a bait, and he calls it. Absolutely, just absolutely cracked to call that bait there on the Ice Punch.
Unbelievable. SJ understood Pocket was behind now, and he made the read. He made the decision to call the Ice Punch, and now this is going to look to be a very difficult spot for OutOfPoket, but don't count him out. Drill Run coming through. Shield is put up by SJ.
Great shield by SJ on the Drill Run. Now we see the Alolan Sand Mirror Match gathering up some energy. We might see an Ice Punch bait again or swap. Now we go back into the Araquanid, OutOfPoket trying to make something happen, but we see the Azumarill response. Rise, could we see a full bubble down?
I think that's what we're about to see. A Bubble Beam is not going to be threatening at all to this Azumarill. It's going to just simply debuff its attack. And now we're going to see a massive farm down for SJ. So good at maneuvering his energy. Full bubble down. Pocket doesn't get off the Bubble Beam. Wanted to try to commit to the Water Pulse.
Wanted the Water Pulse, but could not get his wish. In comes the Azumarill. Going to fire off the Ice Beam against his Clodsire. It is a little bit debuffed, if I'm not mistaken, but it still deals a lot of damage to that Clodsire.
SJ looking to be in a very good position here. Ice Beam coming through. Super effective damage inflicted upon the Clodsire. He still has energy banked on his other two Pokemon as well. Super effective Sludge Bomb coming through. SJ gonna allow it to connect on the Azumarill.
SJ needs that shield. He needs that final Protect shield away from Pocket because he has a Hydro Cannon for Alligator ready to go. He goes in the Sand Slash, Ice Punch, counter swap, and a catch.
A nice play from Pocket, trying to keep himself in this game. Catches the double resisted Ice Punch, which may allow him to get off a parting Charge Attack, but no, doesn't live the one Powder Snow. And now this is devastating for OutOfPoket.
Yeah, this is so tough. We see the double Ice Punches. SJ looks out to the crowd. He thinks he's got it. Pocket knows he's got it. This might be the end.
He can't believe it. He shakes his head in disbelief, and SJ is your Sacramento 2025 Regional Champion.
Absolute fireworks on stage. There were ups and there were downs. Shadow for Alligator came out to play this weekend in Sacramento, California, and SJ is gonna take the crown.